So the title's not going to be decided in September. However, we are going to see what kind of team we have. Not just in the Prem, but in the Champions League and the Carabao Cup as well. I think we have some very winnable games in September, and I think we'll finally see the Arsenal we're hoping for. Hola Teros, welcome back to the channel, and welcome to the first season snapshot. What I'll do is I'll go over the next month's worth of games and kind of tell you what I expect out of Arsenal, what I like to see, and yeah, where I think we'll go. So I'm going to go through the Premier League matches, I'll go through the Champions League matches, I'll go through Carabao, and then when we get to it, I'll go through the FA Cup as well. So we have 5 matches in September. We have 3 Premier League games, a Champions League game, and a Carabao Cup game. So starting with this weekend, Saturday, we're playing Nottingham Forest. I will have the match preview out later on in the week, but I think that Forest is a very winnable game. We're playing at home, and Forest, you know, they just sacked Nuno, I think, either today or yesterday, and they've appointed Ange Postecoglou, and I'm not going to lie, it's music to my ears. If he plays that high line, I think they're done for. Ange, you know, while he didn't win a European trophy, they finished 17th. Spurs finished 17th. And, yeah, he's not an appointment that really strikes me with fear. I think that if he plays the way he did at Tottenham, I think Forest are going to struggle, and they might even go down if he plays that way. They might win. They might win a European Cup, though. They might win, you know, the Europa League. But I think playing like that, especially against us with who we have in attack, you know, Eze against the high line, yeah, give me 3 points. I think that, you know, it'll still be a little bit patchy because he'll just come in. He'll probably have, one training session with him. I think it's going to be a little bit more of what we saw with Nuno, but I don't think it'll be anything that we should be scared of. I think we should take 3 points there. Following that, on the Tuesday, the 16th, we got a trip to Bilbao Athletic Club. And as I said, you know, we played them in preseason. I don't think they're anything that special. I think that because we're playing away, Spanish teams usually play, you know, a lot better at home. But I'm not really pressed about Bilbao, to be honest. I think that they'll give us a go, but I expect to collect the win there as well. I think it'll be closer. I think it'll be more like a 2-1, you know, affair. But I think as far as, you know, our first test, it is an away ground. San Mamés, you know, the Spanish crowd will be up for it. And it's a chance to see how we kind of handle adversity. And we're going to see guys, you know, like Eze, who you know, may not have played on the European stage. You know, he's not going to have played there with Crystal Palace. So, you know, we get to see Eze on a big, you know, platform. We get to see Max Dowman in you know, Europe. That's kind of what we kind of expect. You know, Ethan Wanyeri, we saw him last year. So I think it'll be a good starting match. And I wouldn't have, you know, asked for a different match, I think, as a starting match. I think it's a good test. And, yeah, after that, on the Sunday, we're playing Manchester City at home. Manchester City they've got a lot of injuries. They've got, I think, 9 injuries. There's a little bit of chopping and changing, and people are talking about is Pep done. I don't think that's the case. I think that when we play City, they always play us hard. I mean, one of my first games going to the Emirates was New Year's, the 3-2. I think, was it Emil Smith-Rowe penalty or whatnot? And I just remember that game thinking we were going to win, and we just didn't. We didn't get the win. But I think it's different now. I think we can go toe-to-toe with Man City. It just depends on how our midfield does. I think the midfield battle is going to be the most important in that match. And also, defending Haaland. You know, Haaland's one of those players, if you start him a service, he's pretty much going to just run around. But if he does get service, he gets chances, he's going to bury them. And I'd like to, you know, I always love seeing, you know, Gabriel go against guys like Haaland. And we're probably going to see, you know, Mosquera as well against Haaland. And it'd be nice to see how he's going to react because, I mean, Haaland's a striker that he's probably never had to, I mean, if he's in La Liga, he probably would have come up against Lewandowski, Mbappe. But Haaland's a different beast. Haaland is a guy who he will bully you and he will score. So yeah, I'll be interested to see how our defense handles that as well. That's probably the biggest match that we're probably going to have in September. Is going to be that Man City match. And while I think Liverpool is the team to beat, Man City are still, they're still a big team now. They're a big team. They won the treble. They've won, the Champions League. They won like 5 of the last 6 Prems as well. So they're a team, not to take lightly. And I think if we want to go after that title, if we want to prove that, especially Arteta, if he wants to prove that he can get one over on Pep, and actually have a foot in the title race, I think it's a match that you have to win, especially at home. I think you have to. I'm not going to go up there expecting 3-0 or the 5-1 that we put past them, but I think that we need to get the 3 points in that match, and I think it'll be vital for what we expect to do and what our expectations are in the season. We beat City, we beat Nottingham Forest. We're telling people we're here to contend. We end up losing one of those matches, and it's kind of like we've got to up it because I don't think Liverpool are going to lose for a while. So, yeah, in the league, I think that's the biggest match. And then following that Wednesday, I think it's a rest for the team because we're going to Port Vale to play in the Carabao Cup. Now, the Carabao Cup is a trophy we haven't won since early 90s. I think it was 93. And it's a trophy that I think previously Mikel Arteta has kind of thrown to the wayside, to be honest. I think, he's put out some meh teams in the Carabao Cup, and it's obvious that, he hasn't really taken it as important as I think it could have been. With the Carabao Cup, as I always say, Pep always used it as a springboard for the rest of the season because the Carabao Cup final is early. It's usually like January, February. So you win the Carabao Cup, and then you get to the business end of the season, and you're like, we've already won a trophy. Let's win another one. And I think Arsenal needs to start doing that. I think Arsenal needs to start winning the domestic cups. And I think Port Vale, I expect us to breeze them, to be honest. I think even our B team should be better than Port Vale. I think Port Vale are in League 1 or League 2, so I think we should wipe the floor with them, to be honest. The issue is you're going to a smaller stadium. The pitch is probably not going to be as glitz and glam as the carpet, as the Emirates Stadium. And we may struggle. Arteta was blaming balls last year, so he might blame the bobble of the pitch or the grass is too long or whatnot. But I think it's another test. It's another test away from home for the young guys. I think if your guys like Hincapie, if your guy like Mosquera, you guys that came in who Norgards, guys who might be on the fringe of the squad, it's an opportunity to show what you have. Max Dowman, I think, will probably play that match. Ethan Wyer, I like to see him in there as well. And just guys showing that, they can contribute to the team. I like to see us win, and I think we will win. I think we'll beat Port Vale. I think it should be comfortable. I expect at least 3 or 4 past them, even though we're not really firing that many goals. I think with the team that we're going to put out there, I think we should do a lot better against Port Vale. So I do expect us to make it to the next round of the Carabao Cup. And lastly, we have Newcastle. And Newcastle are a team that you look at them on paper and you're saying Arsenal should go there, get the win, call it a day. But as we know, in the last couple seasons, for some reason, Eddie Howe has had Mikel Arteta's number. Doesn't matter who he has on there. Newcastle have lost Alexander Isak to Liverpool. We knew it was going to happen. They've gotten some young guys in at striker who don't really, scare me all that much. But somehow Eddie Howe always finds a way to stifle Arsenal. Do I think that they'll just wipe the floor with us? I don't. But I can see that being a banana skin. I can see us getting a draw. And with the title race, how it's going to be, with Liverpool not even firing and still getting maximum points, I think every match is vital. And at some point, Mikel Arteta has to go there and get the 3 points. I just remember going there, Callum Wilson with the tooth hanging out. Like, oh, gosh. Joe Willett, with the ball being out and then score. Newcastle just been a thorn in our side, and I think that opportunity at St. James, it's a real opportunity to go there, slap them around, and say, you know what, we're taking the 3 points, and we're coming home. That's a big one, I think. That's another big one. I think City and Newcastle are going to be the biggest ones. I think Forest are just, in the league, they've got too much going on with, Marinakis and Edu in the background and, bringing in a new coach. I think we'll have too much for them. But Newcastle United, even without Isak, I think will still pose us a little bit of a problem, especially, if Bruno G has a great match or if Joe Linton, if he's fit, then I think it, I wouldn't say we'll struggle, but I think it'll be a tough one. And I'd like to win at St. James Park. I know we can win at St. James Park, but I just feel like if there was a banana skin in September, that would be the game. I think the other games are very winnable. City, for me, it's winnable, but it's 50-50. City could win, we could win. So in the league, I expect at least 2 wins and a draw. That's what I expect. Or 2 wins and a loss maybe against City, but I expect 2 wins and a draw at the minimum. In the Carabao Cup, I expect us to go through. Port Vale shouldn't be too much of a problem. And then I expect the 3 points against Bilbao. We saw them in preseason, and I think they've shown us pretty much what they have to offer. I don't see them giving us anything else, even though I think the atmosphere will play a part, because they do. European atmosphere play a part. We saw it last year with PSG. The atmosphere means a lot. Like, the fans get behind you, and they just start pushing the opponents. And then you find an uphill battle. So I think they're very winnable games. And then, even though it's September, first of all, I told you, yeah, Olympiacos at home. So it's another very winnable match, but I'll speak about that next month. 5 matches, 5 winnable matches. City's probably going to be the hardest one. Newcastle could be a banana skin, but I expect us to do well. I think that we still have a little bit that we have to get sorted as far as the offense side of the ball. Defensively, I think we'll be fine. Even though, playing Haaland and those guys, I think we'll be all right. The midfield is the issue, I think, for us. I think linking that defense to that attack has been a problem so far this season. We haven't really produced many shots on target except against Leeds, but Leeds are very poor. I'd like to see us do more creativity. And, we got to collect 3 points. We're going to have to collect as many 3 points as we can to stay on par with Liverpool, because Liverpool have something that we don't. They have the ability to play terribly, get the win, and keep going. So does City. City, we've watched them not play well and still get 3 points. And that's something that I think Arsenal have to do. We have to learn how to play ugly, collect 3 points. We saw it against Manchester United. We can do it. But against Liverpool, we just couldn't get over the line. You win some, you lose some. But we have to prove that we can win away from home. We can beat some of the teams that we've had struggles beating. And that we can get the job done on a European stage. So, thanks for listening. I'll see you guys next month. Take it easy.